Welcome to the Single Parent Podcast. I'm your host, Natalie. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Single Parent Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs, ins and outs of single parenthood, and how we support one another along the way in order to develop and maintain healthy relationships. I'm Natalie. Nice to see you all again. Thank you for tuning in. You know, it's been so rough. These past couple of weeks and months, it just makes me think a lot of times like how unfortunate it is that we really don't seek mental health resources or support ourselves in the mental health capacity the way I wish we would. It's really sad. And I think that I wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. For me personally, I realized that I really needed to seek some mental health after I had my third child. And I don't know if it was because I was older. I don't know if it was because I was really at a point in my life where I wanted to seek, I was more self-aware. I wanted to seek enlightenment. I wanted to be a little bit more knowledgeable about, why we are the way that we are and why do we behave the way that we behave. And, I started realizing that I came from a family and a generation of people that were really suffering with trauma, it seemed like. And I wanted to kind of break those cycles. So once I started really entertaining the thought of embracing mental health supports and resources, I really did it initially, because I just kind of didn't really know where to go. I remember when I first brought it up to a family member right after I had my daughter, a comment they said was, because you're not depressed, right? And I'm just like sitting there like, well, A, you didn't even really like give me a chance to even answer the question. You kind of assumed that I didn't need it because why is that, right? And I started thinking about why. And one of the things that stuck out to me was, I'm the oldest child. I'm often seen as, you got yourself together. You're strong. You're the strong woman, strong mother, strong single mom. And it's like, okay, that may be maybe how I present myself to you, but that's not at all how I feel. So, having someone mention it and then kind of like take it away as an option immediately almost was really when I realized, oh shit, I have to do this for myself, because no one's gonna come save me and say, hey, God told me, or I feel like you're not feeling well today, or you're not feeling like yourself and you don't know how to get back to that. Like, it never happened. So I really had to take control over that decision in my life. And I'm really so glad that I did. Before we move forward in this video though, can you do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel? Again, we have many other conversations other than being a single parent on here, so I'd really love if you join the conversations. And go ahead and check out some of the old videos I've posted already so far and give me your thoughts on them, please. I'd appreciate it. But moving forward, so I realized that, after I had my daughter, I really needed to do something about my mental health. Unfortunately, instead of being able to gain mental health resources, I initially gained an addiction. And it was really interesting because it was something that I never, ever thought I would have ever succumbed to, because of my mom's testimony and, how she spoke about certain drugs that she became addicted to. And was the reason why, the main reason why I believe, and from what I heard, is why she changed her life and, is now been in living for God for 20 plus years, maybe 30 plus years. I'm not sure. Yeah, 30 plus years. But let her tell her story. And so that was really hard because I was battling that addiction while I was battling being a single parent, while I was battling a job. And it was really, really difficult because I had nobody to talk to and tell. I didn't want my kids to be taken away from me. B, as a mom, and you do your best for your kids, who else can your kids go to, right? Like, who else is gonna raise your kids better than you? And granted, I had that issue at the time, but it by no means made me a bad parent. It made me unwell, and it made me realize that I needed to seek help. And eventually I did. And in doing that, what the first step I had to take was just to be honest with someone that I trusted. And doing that helped me to realize that if I needed to go into a program temporarily, that's what I would have had to have done. Fortunately, I beat it through other ways, and working on myself continuously has helped that. Eventually going to therapy after that obviously helped me even more so, to not just get over that addiction, but I think that people look at addictions, and I'm so upset about it. It really makes me upset, because it's like you see like a family and generations of people that suffer from addiction, and immediately you're like demonizing that person. Nah, why are you not trying to figure out where is this coming from? Because sometimes, just like as we all believe that there are generational curses that occur and that continue on in people's family lineages, addiction is the main one. And it can manifest in different ways. You can be addicted to food. You could be addicted to religion. You could be addicted to, working out. I don't know. There's so many different addictions that our past traumas push us towards, and I don't think we really realize that. I was in therapy for about a year recently, and it was really eye-opening. I mean, I felt less judged. I felt, more taking accountability. It taught me to take more accountability, if anything, over my life and my decisions, and more so my thoughts. I realized that I was struggling mainly in my thoughts, and just like how I viewed myself in such a negative light. And I didn't realize that is what was kind of manifesting, right, in my life and my results, or lack thereof. So for me, after, or very early on, that I started getting therapy, I started realizing, wow, this is not that hard. I mean, the only hard part about it, is that number one, the hardest thing for me was consistency, right? And so when I'm afraid of doing something, and now I'm realizing it's more so I'm afraid of doing it because I know it's going to bring me to the next level, I could tend to hesitate. I could tend to procrastinate. I could tend to go absent, go hiding, right? That's just my initial reaction. Once I got past that part of it was when I really was able to get through and be receptive in my sessions, and really get out of it what I needed to. So don't go into it, I would say, unless you're fully ready to commit, because the commitment piece of it is the number one thing. And being open to different thought processes than we were originally taught, right? And so again, mental health issues don't just stem from family, also cultural, right? What we've dealt with in our cultural lineages, and what we've passed down, the feelings of anger and inadequacy and low self-esteem and fear. Fear is such a huge part, in my opinion, of how I grew up. And I grew up in a very religious environment. So again, I've touched on this previously, and I'm going to be very honest about it. It was very fear-based. And in doing that, you make people feel like almost like anything they do is not good enough, or God is not going to be pleased, or you're going to go to hell. And it's really sad. I'm so glad that I'm so far past that mindset. I'm so glad that I've allowed myself to be free in what I believe, regardless of what anybody thinks of it, regardless if you agree or you don't agree with it. I feel like you should be free to believe what you believe, and I should be free to believe what I believe wholeheartedly. I shouldn't be judged for that, because I'm not judging you for that. But stepping also outside of religion and kind of researching and doing my research on what spiritual connection really is for me and what I want that to be was also a great feat for me. I feel like I took control of not just myself, but my decisions in life. I was more at peace with the decisions that I made. And it's not to say that, I don't believe in God and I don't seek God every day and I don't pray, because I actually really do. It's just that I feel that I'm free to believe in God the way that I want to. And that's important for me. And I've passed that on to my children. They in turn research whatever religion they want to research. Because the truth of the matter is, what's good for you is good for you. And what's good for me is good for me. I may need something a little bit different. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I've decided to pass down kind of that free thinking space to my kids, because I feel like, at the end of the day, I need to seek out what makes me stronger as a person. You can't give me that. Nobody can give me that. I have to figure what that is for myself. I'm learning that mental health resources are things so simple as like me drawing with my daughter. I remember I used to color and I used to really draw when I was younger. And I think, as I got older, it's almost like I don't got time for that shit. I'm a mother, my time is limited. I gotta cook, clean, make money. Making money, I think as a parent is it's such the focus. Instead of having fun with our children, connecting with them on a childlike level. It's okay to be a little kid with your kid. I mean, in my opinion, yes, there's a time and a place, and your children should respect you at all times. But understand that sometimes what the previous generation viewed as disrespect, honestly, it was just, a blow to their ego. And that's all it really was. And because you hurt their ego, you're being disrespectful. And it kind of prevented us from really speaking out and really being ourselves with our parents. I can't really say that I felt like I was able to be myself completely with my parents, because of just how I was raised. Back then, I think not just them, but that generation in general made you feel like, seen and not heard. You're a child, be seen and not heard. You're a girl, you're a woman, you're a young lady. Be modest, be mindful, be demure, be all of that. Especially in the church setting, you had to be ladylike. Speaking up is often seen and as a woman and as a young girl as, you being too smart, you being too sassy, you being too, you talking too much. And I think that we stifle our young girls' self-esteem. We eat at it a little bit. And I don't think you realize that. It's okay for a young woman to speak up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we need to, again, really put our egos in check and understand that just because our kids are speaking up, just because our kids are being smart, talking back, doesn't necessarily mean they're disrespecting us. We have to understand that when we're looking at our kids, we're looking at us. And that's what we don't like. And that's what makes us uncomfortable. But it is okay. It is okay. It's okay to say, you know what? I've not been always the best parent, but today I think I want to start. Today I think I want to change this about my parenting. It's okay. It doesn't matter like how old your child is. To be honest with you, it's really never too late. I have a 23-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 7-year-old. And the parent I was with my 23-year-old clearly is not the same parent that I am with my 7-year-old. And we get in conflict about that from time to time. We have discussions and disagreements about that from time to time. But I've realized that is okay too. And it's okay for them to have seen me evolve as a parent. It's okay for them to have seen me grow and be different over time. I do feel bad about, certain things. I do have a lot of regrets, when it comes to when I think back on when I raised my 23-year-old and my 17-year-old, that I'm like, damn, I could have definitely done that differently. But I'm also realizing that it was necessary. Similar to what my son said in a previous episode, and I'm so grateful for him for that. Somebody had pointed that out to me, how enlightening that was, that he said that he wouldn't take back the things that happened to him in his life because they made him who he is today. No matter how hard it was, no matter how frightening it was, no matter how scary it was, he wouldn't take it back. And it's so interesting because I don't know if I would say that. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I'm like, God, please take it back. Why did I have to go through that? Or why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why was I involved in that? But unfortunately, he's right. We can't take it back. We can't change certain shit. And I'm so forever grateful for my upbringing. I know there's a lot of things that it has caused in my life, but again, I wouldn't take it back. I'm also grateful though, right, for this new mindset that I've had and that I've developed as a parent. as you know, growing older, and maturing, and getting into a new phase in my life in my 40s, and you know, just taking accountability and charge of certain things in my life personally have definitely helped my mental health. It's definitely helped me grow in the mental health space. And so definitely, you know, I see myself creating a space for young girls to kind of work on themselves. You know, one of the things I kind of do regret is not working on myself before I had children. I would absolutely say that to anybody who has children. If you're gonna have children, if you haven't had children yet, work on you first. The more you work on you, the better parent you'll be. I promise you. I promise you. Again, it's so sad why we don't seek mental health resources, but I urge you, find out what that looks like for you. Create that pathway, create what that looks like for you. Start writing down what you think, whether it's taking walks in the park, going hiking, bike riding. I used to ride bike when I was little. You know, I was telling my daughter that the other day. I'm going to get back to that stuff that I used to do when I was a little kid, you know, just being silly, and also taking charge of me, right? What I'm putting in my body, working out more, taking vitamins, finding out what vitamins are best for my body. Where do I lack in my body, and what do I need to, you know, cultivate that, or feed that, or water that, or, you know, help that grow, or help it improve in some sort of way. That's the focuses that I'm focusing on. That's the mental health that we need to really start implementing, not just in our lives, but in our kids' everyday life. I check in with my kids from time. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Okay, yes, you're a good student, but how are you? Is it stressing? What is stressing you out? What can I help you with? I can help you. I used to tell my son all the time, I'm smart. Shoot, I might have dropped out of high school, but I'm smart. I am. I promise you, I can help you. And Sean used to be like, girl, bye. Like, what is you going to... And it's funny because my kids are all so smart. So it's like, really, they really don't need my help. But I want to help them in some sort of way. And I feel like as a parent, definitely mental health is a big one. If I don't take care of my mental health, they may not take care of theirs. And so I'm learning to also be that mental health support to others the best way that even if it's like one person. Obviously, you start with yourself, then with your kids, in my opinion, is your responsibility, and then the next person next to you, whoever you're influencing. We know who we're influencing, we know who we're modeling for. We see them look up to us, they compliment us, they stare at us, they look at us, they seek our advice. And so for me, anybody I'm close to, you know, anytime we have conversations, I'm always so super honest, because I just wish somebody was like that with me. And there are some women, there are some mentors that I do have, and I'm so forever grateful for you guys. So this wraps up, you know, why we don't seek mental health. I could go on and on, trust you me, but I don't have all day. I'm a single parent, I got shit to do. But thank you again for tuning in. I'm so forever grateful for the comments, for the private conversations I've had with people around some of the topics I've talked about. Again, if you have not checked them out, please do so on my YouTube channel, The Single Parent Podcast. Until next time, send in your requests, any conversations you want to have, any things we've discussed you want to elaborate on. Do you want to be a guest on the show? Feel free to hit me up. Thank you guys so much. It's such a pleasure talking to you. Until next time,